obviously. Why would I need a decent internet connection? I can't even speak. Maybe my internet is much like my everything else today. So while we wait for a few of you to show up, um, let's all remember um, what speaking plainly actually looks like.
Changed my mind. Maybe it was right that if you take those views, maybe you should be cancelled.
Wow, you're on Talk Radio, right? He said, we've had a complaint. Somebody's phoned up because in one of your videos you're being untoward about paedophiles. Oh my God, don't be ridiculous. I'm not a vet, but I know what a dog is.
Would I go to a women's refuge in your world?
Well, no, because then it wouldn't be a women's refuge, would it?
Cancelled.
There are boys and girls toilets in schools, and girls don't have access to single-sex facilities on the basis that we are changing. I'm asking you, as a mother, do not use female spaces.
So then there's the problem, isn't it?
What do you have against trans women?
I don't. I just don't think they're women.
Cancelled.
Well, hello, good afternoon. How the devil are you? I'm particularly wonderful. I'm going to tell you some of the things that's been happening here at, I want to call it TERF HQ, or HQ, because I don't say H, because that winds me up. So yeah, HQ. Okay, so there's been exchanges of letters, shall we say, emails, between people and the New Zealand police. New Zealand police are advising that I don't go. So I'd like to tell them, thank you so much for your advice. I'll tell you what, you do your job, I'll do mine, and I've booked my tickets. So I'm going to New Zealand. Let me just remind you of upcoming events. Reformers Tree, London, the 20th. Not the end of the month, not the bank holiday. So the 20th of August. Let Women Speak, Dublin. I know the boys are very, very excited about us going to Dublin.
My milkshake brings all aboard.
And then obviously we have Reformers Tree on the 24th of September. But before that seems mighty early. Before that, I shall be popping over to New Zealand and doing it Let Women Speak there, because I will not be told in a so-called free world, in the free world, which we know it isn't really, but in the free world, I'm not going to be told whether or not I can go to a country when I'm a law-abiding citizen, never been found guilty of a crime, never. And according to certain people in New Zealand, the fact that what I say is controversial doesn't alarm them at all. They just think maybe I shouldn't say it. It's absolutely demented. Also, I want to talk about Amanda Abingdon very quickly. I think Amanda Abingdon a few years ago said, you cannot call yourself a woman if you have a penis. I think this is what she refers to in her Instagram live that she did, saying that she said something and she learned her lesson. I really hope it wasn't that, but I think it was. And what we have to appreciate is, in order to work at the BBC, in order to get gainful employment with our state-run broadcaster, you have to surrender everything that you know to be true about sex change and about what is good or safe for children. Because our state broadcaster couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. Doesn't care about the safeguarding of children. It doesn't care about its associations with drag and the crossover between adult and children entertainment. It doesn't care that some of its presenters target vulnerable young people. It doesn't care that it makes, on certain shows that I certainly know about, it doesn't care that it makes people sign NDAs because the wholesome people involved in the show are actually having illicit affairs behind their wives' backs. It doesn't care about that sort of stuff. It's happy to take care of it. It's happy to brush it under the carpet. It's happy to do that. It's happy to pretend it doesn't see. And this goes for ITV, Channel 4, all of them. All of them. It's happy to turn a blind eye to despicable misogyny. And I include some other people in this, some other people who are taken in by raging misogynists who claim to speak up for disenfranchised people and at the same time celebrate men who use their power to further disenfranchise vulnerable women. So it's and it's quite unbelievable. Look, I think about this often. I think about like what am I doing on a like what is this? I have conversations with world-renowned lawyers who are respected and well known in countries way out of their legal jurisdiction. And I'm having conversations, me, didn't work hard enough at school, didn't work hard enough at university, had a glorious, short-lived career before I had children and was happy raising my kids. And only because of this issue, do any of you know I exist? And so I was happy. My life was happy. Thanks very much. I'm just not having this. I'm not having this absolute weird just thing that will just go to the root of our society and unearth us all when we no longer can put our finger on something and know that it is solid and true. So I think about this and I think about how I stumbled across this issue and thought the billboard was a good idea. And I've genuinely, I am very few of the things I'm accused of. I don't believe in guilt by association. I don't believe that you can catch somebody's despicable views just by having a conversation with them about anything. And here I am, and I fly over. So I go to the United States of America, and then I fly over to Australia and New Zealand, and I have politicians, serious politicians, read a Wikipedia entry as if it were true. And I get people from the opposite side of the world carrying placards, threatening violence against me and all the other women speaking, and saying things about me that I don't even think they can possibly believe that is true. And I go to these countries to enable women to speak. And for doing that, I have the attention of police forces who work against me in foreign countries. Like, it's so difficult to truly think about what that is. That there's some people that think I'm a big enough threat, either because I unearth the truth, or that maybe they believe I genuinely am a dangerous woman with terrible views. But me, by facilitating women to speak in public, that I'm a significant enough threat that the police in New Zealand made sure I had nowhere to stay. They went to my hotel and they informed them and they made them aware of the dangers. Whatever they did, they had a conversation, and then I no longer had a room. Stopped for 2 hours at the border. In Australia, the Australian Federal Police told people, don't attend that rally because we won't take care of you. Didn't even do it in writing. They did it over the phone, which sounds even worse. They refused to confirm it in writing. They just did it on the phone. There are some serious forces working against us. And it's sometimes just crazy to think about. It's I mean, what how do we truly put this into any sort of perspective? Who are working against us? There's a story in Redux today that I looked at very briefly, where one of their sort of family sexuality bodies, like official bodies, I think it was, is promoting sex games to small children. Is this the end game, people? Is this just they're just the most sinister people on earth that are capitalizing on this? Like, I know there are some activists who say it's all big pharma driven, and I'm happy that there are really greedy people working in big pharma who genuinely don't care. And we know there's been opioid crises. We know they produce puberty blockers. We know that they produce cross-sex hormones, and they are used. And the pharmaceutical companies don't speak out against it. We know that they've done some terrible things throughout history, both medicine and the pharmaceutical industry. But I don't just think it's that. I don't just think it's greed. I actually think that this is propelled by really sinister, dark forces. If child trafficking can be a global enterprise, and porn, if those two things can be some of the most lucrative things on earth, why isn't that somehow connected to the sterilization of children? There was a young woman in America who testified recently to say that her double mastectomy surgery was okayed when she was 12. Like, is it just greed that would let you do that? Are you completely amoral? And my answer is, like, where are the parents? And I know we're not supposed to blame the parents. I know that there comes a certain point where it's not your fault, but it is. It is when your kids are small enough. It's 100% your fault. And it's terrible that you can't, that there aren't other people to help you. But Jesus Christ, if that was happening to one of my children, we would live in the middle of nowhere. We would have no phones, no devices, nothing. We would just go and live somewhere rather than my kids get taken by the cult. Like, where are you? Where are adults? Where are the adults? Why don't you know? Why don't you know that it's absolutely wrong to cut off the breasts of your 13-year-old daughter? Why don't you know that? How babyish, childish, infantile do you have to be to think that's okay? I just don't get it. And look, I'm not talking about, there's one of our amazing stewards who's got an older teenage daughter. That's a very different story. 11 years old, 12 years old. I'm just not sure it's not somehow about the parents. Because I don't care if my kids hate me. I just don't. I don't care if my kids hate me, if they got involved in a cult. I don't care if they hate me. I would just take drastic action. Obviously, all of my children are older than 11 or 12, but at 11 or 12, what relationship have you had with your kids? Like, are we in a society in which parents have no trust in themselves as adults? Is that where we are? That we don't live physical, tangible lives. I don't know. I just think about it, and my first response, yes, it's terrible that your counselors, like that counselors and doctors and schools and all this stuff, but they're your children. It's your child. 10 years old, that's on you. 11 years old, that's on you. 12 years old, that's on you. Sorry. Be a parent. to your children. So, as for Amanda, I ask all of those that have come to cancel her. Number one, you haven't changed her mind. Whatever she truly thinks, she still truly thinks. But also, if she'd said, I just don't think women have penises, would she still be on Strictly? I actually would like to have known the answer to that. I'd actually like the BBC biggest flagship program be challenged on announcing someone that actually certainly says that you can't be a woman and have a penis, or said in the past. So, I mean, she disagreed that a 12-year-old should be a drag act. It's just crazy. Look, here, we don't couch our language. We don't just complain, we campaign. We find solutions to the problems that we find with this nonsense. I am not persuaded to do it any other way. And I do get emails sometimes from people telling me how to do it better. Let me just tell you, I did it this way. This is how I want to do it. Nothing that anybody says will change my mind. I work on instinct. I think that is far more trustworthy than a stranger's email. And what we repeatedly do here is speak the truth and encourage others to do the same. And that breeds confidence in being honest. So many people have started off thinking that what we say is harsh. But that's because there are so many women that don't use plain, clear language. You will never, ever get me saying, I'm not transphobic, but. Because I don't care whether people think I'm transphobic. I just don't care. It's not of any interest of mine what somebody thinks I am. If they think I'm a TERF, transphobic, bigot, I don't care. It doesn't change me knowing that women don't have penises. And I really hope that many of you will already do the thing that we know works, which is speaking the truth in a direct and straightforward way. I'm just going to show you what I'm wearing because I love it so much. Oh, I just want to. I hate you so much. I'm so bad at this. So yesterday I showed you part of our new collection that we're releasing slowly into the wild. I think this is gonna ridiculous. Anyway, this is a green. This is bright green. It looks weird on this camera. And if you want one of these beauties, oh look, it looks like a measuring thing. So that's handy, isn't it? So these are unisex fit. I'm wearing a small. So go for your life. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, my musings on Brighton Pride, which I woke up in Brighton on Saturday morning. Don't even ask. Just don't even ask. This is just, oh my God. They're going to be in the American, Australian, New Zealand shop soon. If you want to help what I do, if you want to help the many things that we do here, we're not like other places. We don't have very rich benefactors. We don't have grants from the government. We don't get paid a consultation fee of thousands of pounds for our phone book. We don't get any of those things. The way that we fund everything that we do here is by these things, by selling the best and most widely recognized global merchandise. And then we do the most impactful public speaking events. This is not an accident. This is something that I've been working on for years. It's not. It didn't just happen overnight. This has happened with hours and hours and hours and weekends and evenings and all days. Actually doing this, working out what is the best way to reach as many people as possible, because once they know, they agree with us, and then the sooner everyone knows, the sooner it stops. So, if you can be the billboard, can start a conversation in public, then I promise we will win. Raven Cole, it might be me. Can anyone stand against Eddie Izzard? Yeah, I might dress up as little Jimmy Cranky. If you can, focus your energies on something that makes a difference, like finding out what your kid's being taught at school, writing to your local library and talking about drag queen story time, sending them all the evidence of the lack of safeguarding with drag queens reading to children and how sexualized it is. Maybe send them the little clip that we all saw, which is here, this one. Send Oh God, I've had enough. Send that to the local library next time they do a drag queen story time. If you can do your small part, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.